All right, so now we're moving on to T's, and T's are a lot easier to work with than angles. T's are also one of those things affected by the neutral axis, like angles and channels. I forgot about that. They can also be affected by that neutral axis location. So kind of keep that in mind. We're going to insert a T shape, but I'm going to insert it by, well, we'll do horizontal first. You've got your standard T's, MT's, and then we're going to do the wide flange T's, which are your more common ones, something like a WT 4x9. You may see this as like a support, you know, off the side of a structure. Oops, let me go and click that again. And it was my rotation at 90. It should be at 0. I think I had it previously set at 90. All right, so there's like a little T support hanging off the side. Okay. Insert them the way you would anything else. Since T's are halves of the respective beams they came from, the WT 4x9 being a half of a W818, they're going to share the same gauge line. So you don't have to worry about different gauge lines. They're going to share the same 2 3/4 or something. And again, I think I might have mentioned this earlier. If I didn't, you won't always have that information you need. There is no gauge line here being shown for a W T4x9, but there is for 818, and 818's gauge line is, I want to say it's 2 3/4. 2 3/4. So the gauge line for the top of this WT 4x9 is also going to be 2 3/4. In addition, I believe WTs also have what do you call it? Web gauges. So you have to look into that as well. So if there's a web gauge. Actually, there is a web gauge. I just don't know it offhand. Yeah, I don't know it offhand. So, and they definitely don't show that anywhere in here. Yeah. So look that up. Look at whatever the web gauge is. That'll be used. So there's two different. We're going to bracing. There's two different types of connections for T's to be used in bracing. Your rotation works just like the what do you call it? The wide flanges. You're going to rotate her on the center line if you choose whatever your rotation angle is. The nice thing is, unlike channels and angles, there's no flip flange. So let's draw a work line from. Let's come up like a foot or 12 inches, actually. Whatever. I'm in decimal still. And then set my UCS to the front. And then say less than 45 and bring this up to here and bring this beam out. And you know how we do the braces, come down half the distance. So we're going to come down 4 and just do a fillet on that. All right. There's our work line for our brace, our wide flange brace. Our T brace, wide flange T brace. So we're gonna select this, and there's two ways to input a brace, and different companies will do this differently. And my streaming software is about to kick over. Yeah. Okay. So there's two ways to do this. The first way you're going to do this is just vertically, 0 degree insertion. This kind of connection is when you're going to bolt to the web of the T, and it's flange side up. We'll look at this in a conceptual. So some companies will do a connection like this. If it's welded, great. Just cope it, which I'll get to later. You just cope it, and you're good to go. Welded, your work points in the center, all that jazz. You're good. If you're doing a gusseted connection, you can bolt along the whatever the gauge line is on the web gauge. All right, the other type of connection. Some companies will rotate it. We rotate it 90 degrees, and this could be 90 or 270, but it will not be 180. So select it, and you have it this way. Using this method, you'll have a gusset plate come off the column and the beam, and you'll have probably a 4-bolt, maybe a 2-bolt, but likely a 4-bolt gusset connection. Using the gauge of the T, which again matches the wide flange, so it's 2 3/4 on this case, you'll have the gauge where your bolts are at. So two methods to insert braces for T's. Pick your poison, whatever your company or engineer decides you use in those situations. We'll be good to go. So that's inserting T's. T's are pretty simple. There's not too much to say about them. They're a lot like wide flanges. I just want to go over how they can be used and how they will be used. So that's that.